This week on Destination Whitetail, it's time to learn about what the experts are learning about deer.
We're a real unique entity. We are in the process of constructing a long-term data set on white-tailed deer. Our data set is increasing exponentially. We've had multiple graduate students graduate and complete their research.
It takes about half an hour for me to load all the drug up into the dart and to add the transmitters.
If I'm aiming center mass, it's going to hit 2 or 3 inches low.
This guy here was born in 2013. The first thing we need to get is a tissue sample if it's a new deer that we have not marked before.
All right, pull it out. Hold pressure. There you go.
If you can get adult males, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old animals in your herd, they will stabilize the social system.
Hey y'all, I'm Brittany Glaze. Welcome to Destination Whitetail.
Look through the scope, take a bead on him. Plow! Gotta believe. There's enough wild game meat for all of us.
It's an exciting time for our deer research program. We've just acquired some of the control over the facility and what we do and where we go with it. We have the ability to control our equipment. We have the ability to control the finances that are flowing into maintenance of the facility as well as the entire research program. These are about two acres. They're exclosures. Each of the exclosure has 6 gates on it. They're designed to do some food plot research. We have such a high density of deer in this facility for research reasons, we can't hardly get anything out of the ground. So we have to be able to fence it to get it out of the ground to be able to take a look at preference. Then we can open up the gates and we can monitor what the deer prefer, what they're consuming, et cetera, et cetera. We can still do other nutritional analyses on it just the same. At this time, we're also at a place where our data set is increasing exponentially. We've had multiple graduate students graduate and complete their research. We have a comprehensive data set on reproductive success where we've been looking at antler size and body size and physical characteristics and how that's influencing reproductive success in males. We currently have a graduate student that's taking this the next step where she's going to be looking at components of the immune system to try and understand how the immune system ties in with reproductive success in males. Hopefully this information can be useful to hunters, it can be useful to managers dealing with issues associated with things like epizootic hemorrhagic disease, potentially chronic wasting disease, bovine tuberculosis, or many of the other diseases and pathogens that affect white-tailed deer across the United States today.
So this facility, we aim to keep it at about 110, 120 deer is about the max that the land can successfully hold. All the deer, once they've reached about 2.5 and older, we should have handled them by then. So those guys we have darted at least once in their lifetime by that time, and we'll have their genetics on hand and all their a tissue sample where we get the genetics.
In addition to white-tailed deer, in addition to what we're doing and trying to address some of these deer biology questions, we have unique opportunities to collaborate with other faculty at Auburn University. We have collaborative studies that are just getting underway with.
This is a project that somebody else in the School of Forestry and Wildlife is curious about. They do a lot of samples looking at fungus, and so they're curious, since we're already capturing the deer, if we can just take a quick antler swab and see if there's any new species of fungi out there. They've done it before with hogs, and just with some hog capturing it, they found, I think, 2 or 3 different species of fungus that hadn't been discovered yet. So it's just some exploratory research for a different professor that we're helping them out with.
There's a whole host of things that we can look at with this population, and because each individual in the population is tagged, because each individual we have unique genetic information and we have unique data for, Because of that intimate knowledge, we're able to address so many different things, so many aspects of biology and ecology of the species that we just never would have dreamed of.
Destination Whitetail is brought to you by Browning Trail Cameras, the most cutting-edge trail cameras on the market. Hunter Safety Systems, saving lives is what we do. Carbon Express Arrows, shoot better with Carbon Express. And by ShopDeerHunting.com, great gear, expert advice. This segment of Destination Whitetail is brought to you by Matthews and the new Halon, our hardest hitting flagship bow to date.
We're shooting for the back ham. It's the most muscular portion, so it'll get the drug into the system the best.
The thing that makes it harder is when they just take off running, they never check up, never stop till they get 200 yards away.
This is the opposite of hunting. We want them to live and to keep reproducing. We want to follow how that happens throughout their lifetime.
This segment of Destination Whitetail is brought to you by Mission Archery.
This is the opposite of hunting. We want them to live and to keep reproducing. We want to follow how that happens throughout their lifetime.
If you can get adult males, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old animals in your herd, they will stabilize the social system. It will serve to compress the length of the breeding season, compress the breeding dates, and it will move it earlier in the calendar year, which means you have less late-born fawns, you have less fawns that are playing catch-up. So not only do you have a more compressed breeding season, which means you have a more compressed rut, which is a better hunting experience, you also have greater antler development for your bucks, greater body size for your does, which is going to translate into greater milk production for your fawns later on. It is a cycle that feeds on itself, and that is all by having mature males in the population.
Shooting at deer with a dart gun that have been shot before has a unique set of rules. First is the careful preparation of the drug cocktail used to dart them. Too much could kill them. Not enough, and they don't go down.
It takes about half an hour for me to load all the drug up into the dart and to add the transmitters, figure out where, organize who's going to be darting from what stand, and get everything organized that way, get everything loaded in the truck. It usually takes me about half an hour to get everything organized, and then so with that, we have to mix up the drug solution and add that to the dart. Then with that, we'll test the transmitter, make sure everything's okay, battery, and make sure we've got the right frequency, because sometimes those radio transmitters will vary a little bit depending on the day. May do a couple practice shots on the dart gun just to make sure everything's in order, because we only have one shot, so everything needs to be perfect.
I sight it in to where, like, if I'm aiming center mass, it's going to hit 2 or 3 inches low. And then even on top of that, I still aim low. So like, I'll probably aim just at the body line where the belly hits the hind quarter. If you were to draw an imaginary line right there, that's right where I aim. So it's kind of in 2 ways, kind of erring on the side that the deer's going to jump and duck. Usually they're going to go down within 10 minutes, but it really just depends on how excited the animal is, how good your shot is. There's a lot of variables, but I would say usually if it's a good shot and everything, they'll be down within 10 minutes. Pretty much what you like to see is you shoot, and then a lot of times you'll actually see the deer. A lot of times you'll actually see the deer off in the distance. If you ever hear them stop and blow, or you see them stop, they're done. They're not going any farther. But the thing that makes it harder is when they just take off running. They never check up, never stop till they get 200 yards away.
Our ability to have genetic information and tissue samples and have a family tree built for our entire population enables us to answer questions associated with heritability and how populations are going to evolve through time, whether it be through selective harvest or culling or whatever management scenario you're hoping to apply to a population.
I think we got him, we'll see. I think I got him. I don't know, it was kind of giving me that feeling like he was still moving a little bit.
This guy here was born in 2013. That's why his number is 308. And he was one of our first guys that we caught, which we just go off of the 8 is the order we caught him in, and the 3 stands for 13 in the year they were born. We're shooting for the back ham. It's the most muscular portion, so it'll get the drug into the system the best, but then also with that, it's avoiding any sort of vital organs or anything like that, because this is the opposite of hunting. We want them to live and to keep reproducing. We want to follow how that happens throughout their lifetime. So it really didn't go in very far, and that's just a little bit extra blood. Went right in the muscle, and so again, the tranquilizer is in this portion of the drug, and so what happens is as soon as it punctures something, whether it be the deer or if it's an accidental miss the ground, it'll release the tranquilizer solution, and then back in this portion is the transmitter, and this is what we were using the radio telemetry to follow and how we were able to find where he is, because as you can see, that's all they bleed and you can't follow a blood trail.
These are called cutaneous fibroma. It's similar to like almost like warts in people, and a lot of times deer can be covered in these things, and that's probably one of the most frequent questions I get. These deer will have these gigantic black masses on their body, and they say that it just kind of resolves itself, and we've actually seen, tag deer that they'll have these, and then the next year they'll fall off, and you can kind of sometimes see some crater indentions and things like that where these things were attached, but that looks like that's what it is.
There's questions about what does white-tailed deer management do to populations. Some would pose that we are strengthening populations. Some would pose that we're weakening populations with management strategies. I would argue that we're doing neither.
And it's gonna be 45.0. What we're gonna do is give him a reversal. It's called dolazoline, and this will jumpstart the wake-up process.
This segment of Destination Whitetail is brought to you by Matthews and the new Halon bow.
There's questions about what does white-tailed deer management do to populations. Some would pose that we are strengthening populations. Some would pose that we're weakening populations with management strategies. I would argue that we're doing neither. Animal populations across the globe, whatever species you're dealing with, they are challenged with multiple stressors. They are consistently challenged with predation, with diseases, with climatic challenges, and it's those factors that are going to weed out weaker individuals, yet promote those individuals that are stronger. Selective harvest of individuals, in theory, has the potential to alter genetics in a population. And if that is the only pressure on white-tailed deer populations, then yes, it could negatively influence it. Only about 30 to 40% of fawns that are born make it to 6 months of age. Most people don't realize that. So there are a multitude of factors influencing the population before 6 months of age. It's things like that that we don't see as deer hunters and deer managers that are going to influence the long-term trajectory of populations. And deer hunters and deer managers, while they may be having an impact, probably having a minor impact compared to most of those natural challenges that deer populations deal with every day.
Carolyn and her team take out some students who are getting their first dose of field work.
I have not seen deer becoming tame or anything like that over time. They're always hard to dart every year.
They get a first-hand look at what it takes to gather all the data they need for this research.
As you could probably see from darting, they act just like wild deer. Really the only contact they have with us or conditioning is through our darting. And then just make sure, just kind of go over his nose so he can still breathe good. There you go.
The first thing we need to get is a tissue sample if it's a new deer that we have not marked before. The genetic tissue is our biggest goal for understanding this population. So that is our primary goal, is getting that DNA sample. If it's somebody we've tagged before, then we don't need a new sample because DNA won't change over time. So we've already gotten this deer before, but if we hadn't and we wanted DNA, we use this, and it's basically just like a little hole punch. So right through right there is where we took the notch beforehand. Just a little tissue snip like that. We put it in a little vial, and then I will go back and test it later, and we test it again for who's his parents and who's his offspring, all that fun stuff. The next big thing we'll want are the body measurements and the antler measurements for the bucks.
All the way to the tip.
So we're gonna point toe like ballet, and we're gonna go right there, and it's gonna be 45.0. After that, we will also we'll take a blood sample, and that's from the jugular.
A little bit steeper angle. Yep, right there. All right, pull back a little bit. You kind of went a little too deep.
Okay.
Pull back. Pull back. There you go. Now go. Now pull back on the syringe. Is it coming?
Yeah. Is it a certain amount you want?
Keep going. Just go all the way till it ends. All right, pull it out. Hold pressure. There you go. Well done.
We also do a tick count, and we take tick counts in around the ears and the eyes, and also at the sternum and right behind the tail. And then the final thing we do is we shave about this thick. We'll do a shave around their belly. It looks like a belt.
This is just so that we know that we've darted him for the year. We don't dart him again.
Once the down buck has gone through the complete physical and all the blood and DNA samples have been taken, it's time to wake him up.
What we're gonna do is give him a reversal. It's called dolazoline. We give it to him half in the front shoulder and half in the back hand. And this will jumpstart the wake up process.
There are a lot of challenges with the operations at Deer Lab. There are a lot of logistical challenges, financially as well as logistical. We're a real unique entity. We're in the process of constructing a long-term data set on white-tailed deer.
Destination Whitetail is brought to you by Browning Trail Cameras, the most cutting-edge trail cameras on the market. Hunter Safety Systems, Saving lives is what we do. Carbon Express arrows. Shoot better with Carbon Express. And by ShopDeerHunting.com. Great gear, expert advice. This segment of Destination Whitetail is brought to you by Matthews and the new Halon, our hardest hitting flagship bow to date.
There are a lot of challenges with the operations at Deer Lab. There are a lot of logistical challenges, financially as well as logistical. It takes a lot of labor to operate our facility. We have a lot of graduate students and other individuals that are involved in the research enterprises that are involved in capturing deer and collecting data from these individuals, whether it be operating trail cameras. Those graduate students that are out in the field darting these deer all year long. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of man hours that go into collecting the data that we're gathering at this facility. We're a real unique entity. We are in the process of constructing a long-term data set on white-tailed deer. The whole idea, the original idea with this deer research facility was to have intimate knowledge of each individual in the population. There have been some unique studies historically with wildlife that has been able to follow populations through time. Very unique things with primates and some incredible work with red deer in Europe. However, our ability to have genetic information and tissue samples and have a family tree built for our entire population enables us to answer questions associated with heritability and how populations are going to evolve through time, whether it be through selective harvest or culling or whatever management scenario you're hoping to apply to a population. Hopefully, in the coming years, we'll be able to present something that is a usable tool for the public, for deer hunters and deer managers to get a better picture of what's on their property.